Hello. Let's see. I think there might be a little bit of a delay, so we'll give it a moment. I'm waiting for comments to come in since this is a Q&A session. But just to start out, hey, Peter Picaro, good to see you, man. Um, this is going to be just a quick Q&A about everything Savage Worlds Rifts and also Palladium Rifts, but the big focus is going to be on Palladium books and the different things that are going on behind the scenes here. Um, Normally, I know I do a lot more Savage Rifts type stuff, but this is a chance for everybody to really get in and find out some of the secret details of things that Kevin and I may have hidden or not meant to hide from our fans. We've got a Sean. Hey, Sean Merrow. And then thank you, Peter. Yeah, it's good to see you guys. But real quick, I'll just go over some of the big things that have been announced recently, and some of the stuff that we've been talking about, Kevin's been talking about in the Palladium newsletter. And then I can get into answering any of your questions about those items or anything else to the best of my abilities. Let's see. Number one big thing this year, Kevin finished work on Coalition Manhunters. It's a really great, awesome source book for all of your Rifts needs. Has a lot of stuff about not just the Manhunters, which are psychic assassins working directly for Emperor Prosek, but also it has information about the Thought Police and how the Coalition defeats all these different magical and psychic enemies that would seem like they could easily topple an empire built on the idea of rejecting magic in a high magic realm, in a high magic world. So Coalition Manhunters, great book. Also, Rifter 85. So the Rifter is back as the first annual. And I actually am the one that curated that and edited it, and it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of great articles for any game system that you're interested in, or any of the settings, I should say, for Palladium. If you are a Savage Worlds fan, I think that you could get a lot of mileage out of this as well. Not only has great ideas for fantasy games, riffs, uh, zombie apocalypse, superheroes, all types of stuff. So a really great book for all types of fans of role-playing games. And let's see, right now I am working on Titan Robotics and trying to finish work up on that. And that is going to be a massive tome, including a lot of new power armor and robots, as well as a new play paradigm where you can play as a Titan courier, as either as a part of a team or part of or as a one-off individual, collecting information for Archie and or Titan Robotics. And then let's see. The next thing that I'll be working on, already lining some things up for it, is Rift Bestiary 2. Kevin is going to be finishing up a couple of the and working on a couple of entries for that book as well. And he and I are going to be knocking that out. That is my next big priority after I finish Titan Robotics. Be rolling straight into that, as well as Kevin is currently working on Creature Feature for Beyond the Supernatural, and will be rolling into Rift Bestiary 2 with me. And just so you know, I mean, this is one of those books that we really want to get out to the fans. We know a lot of fans are excited about it and backed it, helped crowdfund it and make it happen. And one of the things here is just that of course, everything goes as planned, but Creature Feature and Titan Robotics were much closer to completion, at least seemed to be, when we made the decision whether to hit Bestiary 2 first or Titan Robotics first. And so that was the reasoning. And Creature Feature is really cool. Sean, I wanted to mention to you guys that one of the things is that Kevin, if you haven't been catching up on the newsletters, Kevin has been putting a lot of time into making sure. At first he was thinking, oh, I'll just, get this book out there with a bunch of stuff from Rifters, but he decided to go in and give it the Kevin Simbita touch. So a lot of these monsters are really awesome, and they're even more awesome than they've been really refined by Kevin, and he's had a lot of fun with it. We've had a lot of fun discussing the different monsters and their abilities, and we have a lot of great art by a lot of great artists, including Stephen Cummings and Phil Stone, a newcomer to Palladium Books. And after that, after Kevin helps me with the sections of Bestiary 2 that he wants to work on. Hey, Michael. Hey, Mel. Good to see you, buddy. Then after that, Kevin is going to be rolling straight into Rifts Antarctica, which, again, similar to Titan Robotics, this is a book that has a great manuscript by Matt Clements. The cover art's done. Like 90% of the internal art is done. So it'll be time to take a lot of that art, have that help inform and update the different creatures and monsters and gear, and then give it that that last finishing Palladium touch off at the end to make sure it's a really great book. Yes. So Vanadas Vinco, thanks for asking. Yes. So Titan Robotics is definitely getting some bonus Savage Rift stuff. So one of the things that happened while I was at the Palladium open house this year is I had a lot of people ask me about how long is it going to take us to get all these 100 manuscript pages of cool robots and power armor and weaponry and updates. And so I talked to Kevin, I talked to Shane, and we decided that what we're going to do is we're actually going to offer that as a Kickstarter add-on. Anyone who backs Titan Robotics during our crowdfunding is going to get a copy of the Savage Rifts version of any of the rules, so that you can play as a Synthroid, be part of a Titan courier team, Titan dispatcher, that character class, as well as the write-up for the power armor, robots, guns. It's going to be really great. And I think that I was surprised. I know some people, I guess, thought that was like an inevitable thing, that we would try and make sure or try and do more cross promotion between the two. But this is just an answer to the fans. So yeah, if you're one of those fans, we are definitely listening, and super excited to share this with you. So, I was surprised to see how many Palladium fans also enjoy playing using the Savage Rifts rules, the Savage Worlds rule system. So, some people even told me they prefer to use Savage Worlds as maybe an easier entry point for friends and family who are less keen on role playing and gaming, and want a little bit easier start. And then they prefer the Palladium rules when they're playing with their old buddies and stuff, or their regular play group. So want to make sure that you guys are armed with all that, and you don't have to wait for a big revolution of us to come out with a whole bunch of new Rifts books, because right now, I should say Savage Rifts books, because right now Savage Rifts we're really focused on finishing out the Rifts Earth setting as much as we can, without getting too distracted by side stuff. We'll see what happens. Yes, variety is the spice of life, and that's one of the great things I think that is really can be said about the Beyond the Supernatural creature feature, and Titan Robotics is, and like I said, the Rifter, Coalition Manhunters. These are all books that are going to expand what you can do and the ways you can play. Manhunters is soft, sort of a big expansion for psychic powers, because it actually has a lot of tweaked or upgraded psychic powers that you can see what they look like when the Coalition hones those budding psychic abilities to their own ends. So you see some variations or changes in some of those things. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that BTS Creature Feature is also a great book that you can use with Rifts as well. Very exciting stuff. So, but yeah, after that book is out, then Kevin will be working on Antarctica. And one of the things I will say is the art for Antarctica is amazing. The the darkness, the depth of what is coming in that is going to be coming in that book is really really cool. So that's the basic overview. I am again, I am looking at running a crowdfunding campaign as soon as Titan Robotics is ready to roll out. Well, we want to make sure that we get that to fans as soon as possible. But also, one of the problems we have, or one of the challenges I should say we have right now, is the cost of printing goes up and up and up. Logistics is a nightmare right now. Paper is insane. Just the cost of paper is insane. So one of the things that we're looking to do with this crowdfunding campaign is we need your help to try and we really want to make sure that this book can come out without a big price increase. So that's one of the things that I've been going over the dollars and cents of a lot of things, and Kevin and I have been reviewing a lot of that, and it's been really challenging. And we're hoping that with a good strong crowdfunding campaign, we won't need to raise the cover price of the book. And the other thing is a crowdfunding campaign really helps us to know what kind of demand there is. How big should that first print run be, right? Is it because one of the things is if we if we're going to sell 10,000 copies or 5,000 copies or 50,000 copies of a book, right? If you have that excitement of a crowdfunding campaign up front, then that helps us to front load the printing, which can save us a ton of money, and make sure that we get a better position with the printing companies that we work with. So that's one of the things that we're really looking at. I really think that it's important. I think that the fans are gonna, I know you guys are gonna back us up. And so that's one of the big reasons that doing a crowdfunding for it is going to be important, so that we can try and keep that initial get as large an initial print run as we can to help keep the cost down, so we don't have to immediately hit with new sticker shock price. Yeah, Sean Merrow said, any At the Mountain of Madness horror for Antarctica? Absolutely. So Kevin and I were talking about this. That was one of the first things he talked about, was being inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, and also inspiration from the movie The Thing. So Kevin, but it's Kevin, right? So it's I don't know if the guy has a derivative bone in his body, right? You say, oh well, people look at a lot of riffs things and say, oh, that's the derivative of this or that's the derivative of that. But it's always, Kevin always turns it to something unique and cool. And the other thing that's really awesome is the cover art that John Zlesnik did. And Bradshaw did a lot of internal illustrations, as well as Stephen Cummings. And so a lot of this is really neat because it's almost this fermentation process with the art, is that Kevin will take that and say, oh, I really like this, sort of biological weapon, right? And I'm going to commission more art now and change some of the stuff that maybe originally was written up by Matt Clements. Same thing is going on with Titan Robotics, right? And this is one of the really great parts about working with such amazingly talented writers and artists, is Kevin and I get to come in and riff off of what their cool ideas are and bring it to y'all. So Daglin asks, does Titan Robotics expand on the Sumerian lore? A little bit. It's not, Titan Robotics is not focused on the Sumerian lore, but one of the things that that everyone I think really enjoys about the Sumerians is this idea of these robots, these androids in disguise, right? This secretive faction, and that's Titan Robotics riffs off of that core concept a lot. So similar to how now the Sumerians were the most advanced androids that Archie had produced when he and Hagon created them, but as of 109 PA, 110 PA, as we're rolling into the Minion War time period, Archie and Hagon have pulled out all the stops after dealing with the Devourer threat, which is the Mechanoids, right? The Mechanoid invasion from Rift Source Book 2. They've really gone for broke, and they've come up with a new, um, I would say. Uh, what was the generation of androids, human replica androids. So launching off of, so Argent Goodson, basically his technology, if anyone's not familiar with Argent Goodson, he's the CEO of Titan Robotics, but he's also an android, hyper intelligent neural intelligence, higher advanced neural intelligence created by Archie and Hagon. Well, Argent Goodson he couldn't just look human or humanoid like the Sumerians and kind of play off his non-humanity. He had to interact with humans, deal with humans face to face all the time, look and seem human. And after the success of Argent Goodson, now Archie and Hagon have upped the ante, and they're creating what we are terming our synthoroids. So these are replicant almost, if you're familiar with that term. But these synthoroids are without a molecular microscope or chemical testing, high powered chemical testing. They seem human. Their flesh and blood and organs and all this stuff. So and we give you the chance to play as those. It's basically a choosable, playable race of androids, for lack of a better term. So that's going to be, I think, one of the really exciting parts about this. Now, this is also great fodder for a game master. Say you're not the players right now you've already got a long running campaign, or they're not interested in doing the the corporate intrigue and all that kind of stuff. This is a great chance for to have some really awesome NPCs and frenemies, antagonists in the setting as well. Spoilers much, yeah, it's a bit of spoilers. The funny thing is I had to reorganize the book a bit because there are more secrets that I'm not talking about. But it's like, how do you, if it's a new play paradigm, then I reorganized the book, and the first chapter really hits that theme, because if you don't tell the players and the game masters what's possible playing as the synthoroids, then it's hard for them to even know that option exists, right? But then after the playable, the first chapter, which is about new character options and a general overview of Titan Robotics and the intrigue there. Chapter 2 is gear, bots, and power armor, like a lot of cool stuff that everyone's expecting. Amazing artworks. This is a big chunk of the book. Chapter 3 is going to be kind of like an insider view of Titan Robotics, but then chapter 4 is where we firewall off the real heavy game master information. So this is where we'll update a lot of the information about the Sumerian nation, Titan Robotics, and Cyberworks, and how they all mesh together and work together, and the new plans that Hagon and Archie have going along. Chapter 5 is then new adventure ideas and hooks, and then the 6th chapter is a whole bunch of different characters. So great write-ups for everyone from Hagon, Lanovich to with updated stats and stuff like that, to Argent Goodson and the different people that are important to Titan Robotics, including a lot of the personnel there. So yeah, a lot of great information in the book. I think people are going to really enjoy it, and it'll really give you that depth you need to really slide in and do some cool stuff. And Peter Carr says, yeah, the Sumerian nation is underappreciated. I think that's really true. One of the things that I did when I was preparing some of the work on this book is I was going through Rift's Aftermath. There's a lot of information there, and in Sumerian Nation, which is a great book if you haven't picked it up before. And that's one of the things that we're excited about too with this crowdfunding campaign, is that we're going to also have options for you to be able to pick up um, the different books that um, for Titan, for not just Titan Robotics, but Hagon and Archie and the Shimerians. So that if you're a Rifts fan, or maybe you're a Savage Rifts fan, you should go come in and pick up all that stuff, and get all that background information that you may not have taken a good look at yet. So you can kind of one and done and come into the Kickstarter, the crowdfunding, and get everything you need. Um, let's see. So Vanatas Vinko asked, "Will there be an alien intelligence?" I'm assuming that's for Antarctica. And I will say no comment. Um, there is something there that's pretty interesting. How do I put it? There's something there. I don't know if it's an alien intelligence or not. I don't know how to answer that exactly, but we will say that it's something the Splugorth fear. So hopefully that will give you a little bit of a wet to your whistle. Um, let's see. I've got Genetic Memory Farms is asking, are there any rumors of Palladium exploring visual media since the publication of Path of the Storm? Thanks for the stream, by the way. Yeah, absolutely. Glad to do it. Visual media. So one of the things that I will say is that right now Kevin and I are really focused on getting through a logjam of releases that we have so I mean, you guys, it blows my mind what how far along some of these projects are. Um, and so to see cover art, internal art, rough manuscript, right? Something that's been out in a raw edition. Um, that's really fascinating to see. And so we're trying to get through I would call like a log jam of production with me and Kevin working on this material. And even though I was out of commission for about almost 3 months, good 3 months with COVID this at the beginning of this year, I think we've been making some pretty great progress. But yeah, when it comes to other visual media, that a lot of that we don't necessarily drive that, right? The main way we can drive that is by making sure that the core business is successful and popular. But yeah, Path to the Storm was cool. There's a lot of there's a lot of exciting stuff that happens behind the scenes. We have discussions with people, and we can't really talk about that unless something actually comes of it. Contracts are signed, and these things can take years. Can take years. I think Kevin said, I think it took 3 or 4 years for Kevin to hammer out the contract with Disney when they had got the option for a Riffs movie. So things like that, unfortunately, are a little slow burn. So we really are just focused on the core of Palladium Books is just making great books, right? So great art, great storytelling, and just polishing up that as the best we can. So let's see. But thanks for the question. And it's exciting stuff, right? I'm excited too. I studied design and production at the University of Texas in Dallas after I left the military, and one of the things that I would say is that whole program was focused on animated movies and video game production. And so I took a lot of classes learning how to organize and basically be a project manager, production head of production on stuff like that, and stuff that's really served me well in the tabletop industry now. But no, it's really exciting. I love computer games. I love visual media, from movies to comic books. In fact, I was just talking with Stephen Cummings the other day, and he was giving me some suggestions on some blog posts to read about writing comic books and stuff like that. So because it's all a little different, right? Writing a novel, writing a good role playing game book, writing a good adventure. Writing a movie script, those are all different. I have had some practice with movie scripts and stuff, but anyways, all those things are really exciting, and we'd love to see some of that come to pass. So Peter Picaro asks, let's see, So starting with Rifter 86, will editing, curating duties shift back to Wayne Smith? Will you continue to oversee it, or will it be shared duties? That's a great question. Oh, and hello, Coco Shuko Papa Shango. That's an awesome name. But welcome. Uh, let's see. Oh, and real quick, Michael Matkins, just sorry, stream of consciousness. The Kickstarter is as soon as it's ready, as the book's ready. So, but again, trying to finish up some art, and sometimes it's hard to know whether if this chapter, as far as long as it is, how about here and there, what needs to be filled in, what if my time might be uh, divided by something else that comes up, business matters. So hopefully in the next few weeks, but don't hold me to that. Soon, it's the next thing I'm working on, but no definite date yet. But along with Rifter 86 and Peter Picaro's question about Rifter 86, so Wayne is going to continue to edit the Rifter. It was a good experience for me to edit the Rifter 85 and curate it as it was a great way to just get into the Palladium mindset and the production. I you look. It's funny. You look at the Rifter. You probably won't notice any huge differences, but I did set up an entirely new layout file and figured out how I wanted to organize it and things. With Rifter 86, it's gonna. The idea is that things can always change, right? But and Rifter 86 and future Rifters, the idea is that it will be an annual, and that Wayne will have the primary editing duties. I will continue to be a part of it, and I will be focused mostly on curation. So, and we look at the Kevin and I, we look at the Rifter as an opportunity to try new things out. So, there were little things that I did with Rifter 85 that most people probably wouldn't have noticed. But for instance, some of this just comes down to, gee, what can our printers do? So with Rifter 85, for instance, oh, my green screen's doing weird stuff. So you can see this art went to the edge of the page. We printed right off the edge of the page. Um, that was one thing we wanted to try out and just see how it looked, and we didn't want to play around with something like that in a core production book. But with the Rifter, we're going to be exploring more, ideas that we have for layout and stuff like that. But yeah, so Wayne will still be the primary editor on that, but I will be curating the entries, and that way, with the way I see Kevin and I see the Rifter is, this is your way in if you are interested in writing stuff for Palladium, the Rifter, or if you already are writing for Palladium and want to continue to do so. We see the Rifter as a really great vehicle for, if you're newer to things, give us a really polished 4 to 8 page, maybe 10 page max article, right? Don't go super big. That's try and just give us really polished thing. But if you say are an established writer that has written some stuff for Palladium before, then the Rifter could also be a great place to come in and get in some chunky stuff, and then a couple of Rifters down the road, boom, we know, hey, the fans are enjoying this. We could turn this into a source book, right? So that's part of the reason that I'm really interested in making sure that I continue to curate the submissions. That way, I'm seeing the writing myself. And making those decisions. So if you send in your writing, that means that I at least took a look at it, right? But if you send in like a 96-page file, I'm probably only going to read the first page, right? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's kind of how things are going to be going with the Rifter. So Wayne will definitely still be the editor extraordinaire, but I will be, I guess, a bigger part of the curation. Let's see. Daglin asks, does Titan Robotics cover the struggle between the Shimerian Nation and the Splugorth, and any potential alliances to fight the Splugorth, maybe the Tomorrow Legion? So Titan Robotics does not dive in. It does a bit, a bit. It's not focused on it, but it does review what the Sumerian Nation and Cyberworks Archie are doing as an update and a review of some of the material from Rift's Aftermath. And the funny thing is the Sumerians, Archie and Hagon, have not been shy with the Sumerians. So they've actually got their finger in a lot of different little pies. So this book will be reviewing a lot of that and updating a lot of those events because this is meant to give you an overview of the behind the scenes action that's really important to what's going on in the Minion War and what's to come after the Minion War, right? So pretty exciting stuff. Mel Primus says, I need the Duffer Brothers to make a Nightbane series. I would love that. That would be awesome. Of course, Stranger Things and everything is going well. But no, I would love to see them and others work on something like Nightbane. I think Nightbane it has a lot of possibilities. It's that angsty teen young adult sphere, right? Where you have these hyper powerful characters, but also like horrific body horror type stuff, right? I mean, that's what being a vampire is. That's what being a werewolf is, right? So that's one of the things that I think is really cool to explore. That's really great about Nightbane, and I think it would look great in comics, movies, TV shows. It could be really awesome. So Kokushuko, that's my best. Asks, are you the boss of Palladium now, or just Savage Worlds? Well, I'm not the boss of Savage Worlds. That's Shane Hensley, and but Savage Rifts, I am I guess the mini boss for Savage Rifts. As far as Palladium, yeah, tell Kevin I'm the boss now. No, Kevin brought me in as his business partner and as the creative director of Palladium Books. And we just added the title creative director. We wanted to figure out something that would communicate what my role is at Palladium. We haven't been shy about the aims of me joining the company. So that's the whole goal is that Kevin is 66, I believe. And so it's terrible. It's my business partner, my buddy, and I can't remember. But that's the whole thing, is that to pass on this torch. So that in the future, Palladium continues strong. And that's why Kevin asked me to join him at Palladium Books. Something I did not expect, by the way. I actually registered my own company. I was planning on doing my own role-playing game company while continuing to work on Rifts for Savage Worlds. And even I was talking about freelancing with Kevin. And then he, totally surprised me by asking me to join him at Palladium Books. So that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm one of the things I would say is that Kevin and I see really eye to eye, and we have kind of a weird mind melt thing, which is pretty neat. So yeah, Kevin and I are definitely business partners. So anything you see in the future, whether it's from me or Kevin, rest assured that we've both discussed it. I mean, probably on a daily basis, we discuss things, and we go on most days when it's nice outside. We go on walks, and to try and stay healthy, but also it helps us have some time to coordinate our thoughts. So everything that you see coming from Palladium is part of one vision that he and I are constantly collaborating on. Let's see. Sean Merrow, being published in the Rifter was always a very awesome feeling. I agree. I think that the Rifter, and thank you for your contributions. I think the Rifter is a really great vehicle for fans to be able to share their ideas. And a lot of times you'll see that these things eventually might be included as bonus material with future publications, or integrated into forming the core of an idea for either monsters or even bigger things for future products. So one of the things that is with Titan Robotics, right, is some of these Rifter submissions that were really really on point and have helped form, and that's from like Rifter number 4. So it took a while, it took a couple of decades, but yeah, that's the wonderful thing about the Rifter, is it helps make the Palladium megaverse a little more collaborative. In general, the Rifter material is purely optional, right? But obviously if it sees the light of day in a published um, official source book, then it is now official canon material. Um, and yeah, Kokushuko also says the Rifter is good for the Megaversal system. I agree. I think that that's one of the great things about going to the annual. It takes away less from the production schedule, and Wayne is a really important part of everything that's happening here at Palladium Books as well. If we didn't have Wayne, that'd be like Kevin losing his right hand. But yeah, that cutting down from a quarterly release to a yearly release also gives us the option of going a lot bigger on the page count if we want to. So whereas most Rifters in the past were, say, 96 pages, this annual was 224, I believe. And and future Rifters, who know if they'll be 192 or 160, whatever it might be. But that's the whole idea. Yeah, that we can really bring a wide breadth of things to the table. And that's one of the things I will say to fans too, is if you have ideas for the Rifter, please consider other things besides just riffs, because we really like to put out a lot of great material that helps out with other settings. And I mean, and riffs is kind of everything anyways. You can always bring anything else into riffs. So that's one of the things I would suggest if you want the best chance of seeing your stuff in print, is to hit the other genres as well. Let's see. Yeah, Vinaz Vinko says it's a cool effect when art bleeds right off the page. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I'm kind of a fan. And some of this is like, sure, can you do it? Yeah. Can the printer print it? Technically, yes. But I just really with like testing that stuff out with Rifter 85, I just really wanted to see what did it look like with their printing processes, because a lot of things are going to digital press and stuff like that. So let's see. Sean Merrow says, we are old. Met Kevin at a convention back in 1998. Man, Kevin is still going strong. When we did the Palladium open house this year, I was blown away. I hadn't been to one before. I'm from Texas, and so coming all the way up to Michigan was kind of insane. Over the years, it just wasn't really an option. And then after I hit adulthood or whatever, after my teenage years, I was just moving around all the time and never hit an open house. So it was amazing to see Kevin just guns blazing in there, running just about everything, right? He's running games. He was running the auction. He was talking to fans. It was really, really dynamic and really cool. He is a great guy. Let's see. Involved Observer says, are you playing in a game right now? And if not, would you like to join an online game? I am playing in a game right now. I have a game night that is dedicated to gaming with some of my buddies. And then I have another night that is focused on and that one kind of bounces around. Sometimes it's Savage Worlds. Sometimes we'll do other stuff. And then I have I guess you'd call it like it's more serious, but it's a playtest game going on. So those are my two big game nights, and that's about as much as I think I can fit without, in addition to going to conventions and running stuff for special events. But that's about as much as I've been able to fit in my schedule. But I appreciate the offer. I will definitely let you guys know if I have room in my schedule open up for more gaming with the fans. But Yeah, if you want to game with me, one of the things I will say is at the end of September, I will be at the Lone Star Games Expo in Texas, up in Grapevine between Dallas and Fort Worth, and then and I'm from Texas, I'm from Houston, so I had a couple of the conventions that I frequent asked me to return and uh, graciously arrange flights and all that kind of stuff for me. And then I will also be at the Long Con, which is in Longview, Texas. I believe that's end of October, early November. So yeah, but I'll be at the Long Con and at the Lone Star Game Expo. So if you want to game with me and hang out, and you aren't too far away from North Texas, those are some pretty cool options. Um, let's see. Daglin says, it would be a great series of articles for the Rifter. How to role play a true Atlantean, dog boy, dragon, and maybe a GM version of how to role play a Slugorth, a master vampire, a vampire intelligence. I think that's a really cool idea, and that's one of the things that's a great idea, Dalen. If you want to write it, someone else could write it. I think that there's a lot of room in the Rifter for more game mastering advice, more mini settings. I don't think that everything has to just be. I love like when people introduce a new OCC, like a one-off OCC or something, but a world from Phase World, and we got a little bit of that in this last Rifter 85 with the Daruni Civil War article. But I think there's a lot of room for uh, niche ideas or maybe articles on just running a great game, or how to role play this or that, or what's a way to run a really great vampire campaign, right? Those are great ideas as well. And again, with the Rifter, you don't. I'd like at least 2 pages for an article, but article really doesn't need to be more than 2 to 4 pages, right? This is your opportunity. Hit us with something really polished, that we can get out there to the fans. And it doesn't always have to be some big mega event or mega item. Let's see. Michael Matkins asks, any news on new Chaos Earth material? Nothing that I can announce, um, but on a couple of levels, yes. I can't really give any news, but just know that Chaos Earth, which for anyone who's not familiar, Chaos Earth is basically the Rifts prequel, set before the Great Cataclysm or right during the Great Cataclysm. But yes, there is Chaos Earth material a brewing. Um, but one of the things Kevin and I are really focused on, and you can read about it in the Rifter, is that we really want to limit announcing things until we're sure that's the next thing we're going to be working on that's going to be coming out, just to, to avoid any frustration for fans, and also sometimes a project might be canceled or delayed for any number of reasons, and that can we don't want to talk about that stuff publicly for a lot of reasons, but a lot of times to protect the people that might be involved. But that means that we're going to be holding off on announcements a lot there, until we're really ready for that to be like the next big thing, or the next thing. Um, Sean Merrow says, I really need to finish a BTS article, but started it before taking English 101 and 102, so it needs heavy revisions. And that's great, right? Definitely take your time. Um, one of the things that I say is, if you send something for the Rifter, if it doesn't get in, for whatever reason, and you want to resubmit, please take the time to review it and edit it, and have your mom or your friend or whoever do proofreading and stuff, because that's really important to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. You're always updating things, so that it's as as clean as possible. That really helps us too when we go and look at it. There are articles that I've seen, when I was reviewing stuff for Rifter 85, where I was like, this is a really great idea, but there are so many errors. Could be just uh, grammar and spelling and things like that, that I, I had to pass it up for something else because I knew it was going to be so much time to edit that. And then sometimes too, also don't send us, please, please don't just send us if you've got something that was a really cool idea, worked really well in your game, but you just some of the stuff I've seen, it seems like someone just kind of jotted and sent in their their Cliff's notes on a campaign or an item or an idea. Make sure that and run it by other readers, because sometimes there were things that I saw where I honestly couldn't make heads or tails of exactly where everything was going in an article, and I'm going to move on to the next article. Um, let's see. Involved Observer says, "How can we find out which conventions you will be at early enough to make plans to get there?" That's tough, um, because I just found out about these myself recently. We will look at that. I will see if we can do something about maybe posting a calendar or something. I didn't. The funny thing is, I didn't expect to be going to conventions. I mean, I hadn't gone to a convention in a long time, um, because of the pandemic and everything. And so uh, suddenly, it's like everything's back on the schedule again, right? So, I mean, the big thing is obviously. Keep your eyes peeled for when we're going to do another Palladium open house on conventions like that. But I'll try and see if I can get a little more out there. And as things get more regular, it'll be easier to say, yes, every year I'm going to be at Lone Star Game Expo or the Long Con. So yeah, let me get through this year and we'll see how it goes, and see how things move forward with that. Um, let's see. Genetic Memory Farms says Kevin is a machine. Kevin gets major props just as a business owner. He built a niche company with hustle and has kept it alive and grown for decades. Bravo, sir. I agree. I have nothing but admiration for Kevin. And the other thing is I hear a lot of the information that we can't put out there to fans for a number of reasons, right? Whether it is behind the scenes contract negotiations that there there's uh, there's limitations for legal reasons on how much can be shared. I mean, now that I'm Kevin's business partner, he needs to pass that information on to me. And I mean, it fries my mind, things that have happened behind the scenes over the past few decades, and further, I mean, even further back. It's insane. But no, Kevin works really hard. He's a good guy, and I knew coming in that he had always been as a licensee. He was licensor, right? Working with that arrangement, as a contractor for Pinnacle, contacting Kevin and getting everything approved. Kevin has always been a dream to work with, as a creator. And part of that, I think, is because Shane and the Pinnacle crew, um, really bring in a professional approach, and so that's one of the things to remember is, if you're producing professional quality material, if you have a proven track record, or like, for instance, one of the big things that Kevin was willing to do things like the new pawn set for Rifts for Savage Worlds, more maps, the virtual tabletop support for Rifts for Savage Worlds. That was all because he had gotten comfortable that, with working with me, and with Shane and Simon, to make sure that he knew that we were going to fulfill his vision for Rifts, even though it was for the Savage Worlds rule set. Um, and so things like that even that level of trust takes even more time to build. But no, Kevin is great, and I know it can seem difficult for fans sometimes to understand, but this is a business, and we're not, Palladium is not some big mega corporation for sure, right? Um, we but we work hard, and we try and put out really great product that you're going to want on your shelf 20-30 years from now, just like the books that you already have are still there, just like it was for me. I mean, I got my original copy of Riffs. Whoop, hey, weird green screen stuff. Let me see. There we go. Yeah, my original copy of Riffs. Um, my original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness right over there on the shelf. So we want to make sure we keep putting out really great stuff. Let's see, what was that? I have a lot of stuff written for TMNT, but I know it can never go into Rifter. Right. So what you'd want to do is take that and revamp it for After the Bomb, because you could do just about anything with After the Bomb. Um, and you can't use that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles licensed intellectual property stuff, or not licensed, right? Intellectual property stuff. So let's see. Chengku Lawrence Selden. Hello, Lawrence. Asks uh, Chengku in Manoa. No. Chengku probably in England, Europe. Um, as they were in the original Rifts release. Let's see. Sean Merrow says, "Hope you can make a convention in Washington State someday." I do too. Um, I'd love, I'd love to travel some more, right? So if anybody knows any convention people that are organizing conventions and you'd love to invite me out, if you can fly me out and feed me and house me, I'd love to attend. But yeah, that's one of the things that can be a little challenging, though, right? Because the weekends are long, and for me, that it's a little draining, and then um, that's time that maybe I'm not seeing family or friends or working. So there's definitely you can do too much for sure. I think Kevin is basically done with most conventions, Gen Con being one of the few exceptions. Um, let's see. Sean Merrow said Kevin was a great boss when I worked for them doing email customer service back in the 2000s. I'm not surprised to hear that. Like I said, Kev is just awesome. Great to work with. Let's see. Mel Primus said, I wrote a Lone Star Turtle mutant long ago that wasn't TMNT like, but Bradford was trying for something like that. But instead, he got a big walking tank instead of something agile. That seems more turtle like to me, right? Yeah, I like that. It was funny. I was surprised that Lone Star didn't have mutant animal building rules when I was a kid. And yet the book is full of so much cool stuff, and a lot of cool extra mutant stuff. That's a lot of fun. Let's see. Rathanors need to be in the upcoming adventure. Let's see. I'm not sure which who that was referring to for which adventure. Let's see. So, yeah, that's those are the big ideas. We're closing in on an hour here. That went really fast. um, OrcaCon is in January in Seattle. Seattle, January. Isn't that a little? Is that a good time of year to be in Seattle? I'm not sure. It sounds kind of cold. Um, but I don't know. I know Seattle has its own kind of thing going on. But yeah, we're closing in on the hour, guys. Did y'all have? Is there any other last questions that anyone wants to ask before this ends? Um, I could talk all day, I think, but yeah, let's see. So we reviewed the different things that are coming. Yeah. So yeah, we we're really excited. I think you guys are really going to enjoy Rifts Antarctica, creature feature, Beyond Supernatural creature feature, Titan Robotics. I hope everybody enjoys it. I've really enjoyed working on it. Let's see. Oh, Daglin, you asked one about Atlantis. Let's see. So I was looking at Atlantia on Hades and the full continent and secrets of the Atlanteans. Are all those missing pieces spread across the megaverse like Atlantia? If so, where's Atlantia supposed to be on the continent? I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question. So that was not a book that I worked on, and so I don't want to like give you a false answer for that one. Chris Braun, can you recap the what's coming up? He joined late for Savage Rifts. Well, yeah, I can. So, oh, and that's one thing so we did officially announce there's an interview you can watch on Pinnacle, the Pinnacle YouTube channel. I introduced the new Savage Rifts development team, and we talked about Terror on the Dark Frontier, which is a box campaign, a box adventure campaign coming for Savage Rifts that I think would be something exciting for any Rifts fan. Kevin is really excited about it as well. But it focuses on the sort of the New West, where the New West runs into the Coalition and the Comanche Preserve, along with something dark and evil going on there. We're really excited about that. The playtest, all the playtesters have been raving about it, and I think that people are going to really enjoy that. It also, for Savage Rifts fans, fills in some of the monsters that maybe didn't hit Savage Foes in North America, but some really iconic Savage or Rifts monsters like the Black Fairy and stuff like that, as well as gives some extra options for playing things like a cyber slinger, a wired gunslinger, things like that. The preacher, the paradox shaman, and then I don't know what PNW is, so uh, but maybe if you could type that out. And then the other thing is that the other book that we're going to be launching at the same time in the same crowdfunding campaign is The Land of a Thousand Islands. So that's South America for Savage Rifts. Now, the cool thing for any Rifts fans for that book is that the original South America 1 and 2 books were written set in 102 and 103 PA. This book brings South America all the way up to the 109 PA timeline, right after the fall of Tolkien, right before the kickoff of the Minion War. So you can extrapolate a lot. But there is so much cool stuff coming for that in that book as well as far as lore and also the greatest hits, right? I mean, we've got biomancy is in the book. I couldn't fit it in Atlantis and the Demon Seas. And along with tattoo magic and stone magic and bio wizardry. So this book has biomancy, the full biomancy, and as well as the all the favorite stuff like your line walker, your line warrior, your let's see, the anti-monster, right? A lot of really cool options, blood riders, all types of cool stuff for South America. I think we've hit all the high points, as well as like the Gizmoteer, and all types of the Amaki Duelist, the Megaversal Legionnaires. So let's see. Those are so both of those products are, as well as the Rifts Pawn Set 2. And I'll say, if you see the other interview, the Rifts Pawn Set 1, I've got it right here, has been a real smash hit. People have really enjoyed it. I've been really blown away by the quality of the product, and I think that this is going to be another one of those must-haves for Rifts fans, whether you game with Palladium or Savage Worlds. These are really great pawns and maps that you can use for your tabletop. And then along with Savage Rifts, there's also with Titan Robotics, when that goes to crowdfunding very soon, that is also going to include anyone who backs that is going to get the Savage Rifts rules free, not free, but a downloadable PDF. You will have to back it, right? But a downloadable PDF with all the robots and power armor and guns, and as well as the new play options like the Titan Dispatcher character class, as well as the Synthroid race, essentially race option. Let's see. Will Irwin? Is it too late for you, buddy? No. Will Irwin, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you here. And by the way, guys, check out Rifter 85. One of my favorite things was Will's submissions for the Glitter Boy. And so please take a look at that. Kevin and I went over that quite a bit and tweaked the titles of some things and things like that. because we just want to make sure that this is something that be eminently usable by fans. So definitely check that out. Will, yeah, please, if you can, Wayne and Kevin, I don't think they get back till Monday. So you got a few days, but you better hurry because technically the date has passed. But yeah, we'll definitely consider whatever you might send in, buddy. Let's see. So Mel Primus, I'm curious how you did Black Fairy. I wrote a conversion myself back in the Savage Rifts Deluxe era. Yeah, it's the Black Fairy is one of those ones that's very iconic. And there's a lot of iconic stuff that we've got in the Terror on the Dark Frontier. The other cool thing is the box is going to come with the pawns with I think three or four pawns. We don't know the specific numbers yet, but it's going to come with pawn sheets with pawns for those monsters. So that's the other thing is it's really with this pawn set too, and then the box set here we're going to be really catching up so that you can use this stuff on your table, and obviously this art and stuff is also coming to the virtual tabletop support that we've got. So Pacific Northwest. So what was the question? Any risk plans for the Pacific Northwest? Besides the Calgary Monster Kingdom. I don't know. I can't announce anything right now. We'll put it that way. But I know that the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest is an area that has not gotten the love that some people would like. It's the unseen shifting lands that just hopefully everything just fell off the ocean, right? The San Andreas Fault. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's weird. I'm a big Fallout fan. And so for me, it's really interesting the juxtaposition of civilization is focused on the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast in Fallout and a lot of the lore, right? I actually worked I was part of for like a year or two while I was in the Air Force. I was on night missions and on my days off, I didn't have much to do. So, because it was the middle of the freaking night. I was working on a Fallout mod for the Fallout Doomsday, but it was a mod for one of the Hearts of Iron game releases. I think it was 2 or 3. I can't remember. But no, I just really dove into the lore and started plotting and mapping things out and contributed a lot and really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's kind of funny that there's a lot of details about the West Coast, Pacific Northwest there, but not as much in the Rifts lore. So that would be a really fun area to explore. Let's see. And then let's see. Reading through some of these. Let's see. Daglin, would an index by subject be possible somewhere? Maybe a rifter, so someone who wants to know about, say, the Sumerians could track down all the pieces. Like, I would like to be able to track down all men. Well, there is the Rifts Index 1 and 2, and that will continue to expand. Beyond that, I am not sure what if we have any concrete plans there. We've discussed a few things because Rifts is so successful, right? It's a victim of its own success. When you have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of like over 100 supplements, right? 85 rifters. It starts to really grow and take on a life of its own. So I'll keep that in mind. I have a lot of fans asking about that. But some of that stuff, especially for Savage Rifts, for instance, I was asked a similar question already, right? And Savage Rifts is much newer. I think the best thing is fans. That fans can fill a lot of that void because you know what you want and what you're missing. Kevin and I are really focused on putting out new content. And we really have Wayne is very busy as well. So a lot of that stuff, it's do we put for us and our own efforts, we put it into new products and new books and all new material, or do we go back and categorize stuff? So usually if that happens, it's going to be the Rifts Index series. But let's see. Sean Merrow says bought 2 of the pawn boxes and very happy with them. Thank you for sharing. I I am a bit biased, but you know, when I received the material and showed it to Kevin, showed it to Alex Marcinizin, showed it to Wayne Smith, everyone went nuts. It just the quality is really high. These pawns are going to last a long time. And you bought two of the pawn boxes. That's a good move. For those who aren't in the know, the pawn set, I decided to go wide instead of deep. So in this instance, that you'll get a squad of five Zytikic, a squad of five Skelevots, of six coalition soldiers with a heavy gunner and a sergeant and stuff like that. Five broadkill and a broadkill leader and stuff like that, instead of doing say 10 or 20 that you might want to see on in a big battle on a tabletop. And then the reason that I did that is it's more modular, right? So you can just buy extra boxes if you want to present more and more enemies on the tabletop at one time. Let's see. The Glitter Boy stuff in Rifter 85 was awesome. Yes, it was. I was very impressed with it. Chris Braun asks, will those new Savage Worlds rules for Titan Robotics be available independently for those of us only buying for that rule set? No, not at least for a long while. And the reason is it'll just have the pure rules. It won't have any of the fluff that you or the information you need to make it work in, say, a campaign, a lot of the background material. So it's because we want to make sure it's brief. But yeah, it's going to be one of those things where you do need to back at least at, say, the digital level for the book to be able to get the rules for the Savage Worlds options. Eventually, we probably will put that out, but it would be once the PDFs are released publicly and all that kind of stuff down the road. It is sort of an insider advantage for people that back that crowdfunding. So mention in the Savage Rifts interview, any news on the style guide? Yeah, Peter, great question. So the style guide, there's been progress, but I wasn't able to get enough of it done that I thought it was something worth releasing yet. That is definitely something that I'm going to be hitting. So part of my process, I've talked about this in a few other interviews. A lot of times, I don't know if it's just my luck or whatever, when I was in the military and in work here, a lot of times I get the chance to revamp processes and change things and update things. But I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So I really want to make sure I finish a full release that I've worked on before I put out a style guide for you guys to use. So that will be coming after I finish Titan Robotics. I want to make sure that I at least finish one core book myself for Palladium before I put out a guide on how to write for Palladium. Let's see. Is there any chance we could see, Will Irwin asks, Duty's Edge and other novels released today in ebook formats? I don't know. That's I'm not sure about what beyond what's available through Drive-Thru RPG. I'm not sure if there's any other plans there. Let's see. Titan Robotics Pawns, Daglin says. That would be nice. Let's see. And then Chris Braun says if it's available for digital backer option, that's good enough for me. Cool. Yeah, that's the idea. Is we want to make sure that that it'd be like having the conversion of something, but then none of the lore, right? That'd be kind of weird. So, and I don't want to reproduce a lot of I don't want to make like a whole nother product, right? And reproduce a whole bunch of the lore or something. So yeah, that'll be the way to get on that. Involved Observer asks, I saw someone asked about board games, but I had to step away. What was the answer on that? I didn't see the previous question on board games. I didn't catch it. But in general, Kevin and I are really focused on books, right? This is Palladium books. I put this in Rifter 85. But we're really focused on books. And at the same time, I'll say I love board games. I'm a huge board game fan. When I went back to school after the military, I got a visual design degree, and associates, and then I went to go get a bachelor's in design and production. But that wasn't like my declared major at first. It actually shifted But a lot of the classes I took were board game design and video game design. I love board games and would love to see more tabletop board gaminess. I also used to manage a Games Workshop store for a while. I love tabletop war games. Loved BattleTech. Always loved BattleTech. That was my first board game. So I'd love to see more stuff in that vein. But as you know, um, miniatures can be very expensive and difficult to produce, and that can be a real challenge. That's not the core model here at business model, I guess I should say, at Palladium Books. But I wouldn't be opposed to that. In the meantime, though, Kevin and I really want to focus on that, just the core product line of books and supplements and updates for stuff like that. Um, let's see. Rifts as a miniatures game like 40K would be so gonzo. Yes, it would be. And in fact, I would say that pawn set one and two, you buy a couple of those pawn sets, you can get pretty close to playing some pretty big tactical skirmish battles, especially using the Savage Worlds rule set, which, if you're not familiar with Savage Worlds, um, the whole core rule set was based on Great Rail Wars, which is a tabletop war game. And so that it's actually it's very similar to it's like an extra layer, like a role playing layer on top of something like Warhammer 40,000. You roll the hit, you roll the wound, right? Then you calculate damage. So yeah, the Savage Worlds rules played very quickly because of that. Um, let's see. Chris Braun says, moving forward, parallel releases of Savage Worlds conversion PDFs with Palladium Rifts releases would be something that would definitely encourage some non-Palladium book Rifts buyers to pony up for them. I think so. And like I said, I was surprised at the amount of interest from the Savage Worlds fans. Um, and right, and it helps add additional content to Savage Rifts. So we will definitely take a look at that. I mean, that's one of the things I'll say is if if the fan response to having these things available for Titan Robotics is positive, and we see a big movement there, then I will definitely keep that in line and in mind for the future. Because one of the things that is tough is it is tough to bring everything to the table that needs to be done for Savage Rifts. But one of the things and it depends on what it is. Is it new magic? Is it a bespoke magic system like something like biomancy, or biowizardry, or tattoo magic, or stone magic? That can be really tough. But when it comes to guns and robots and power armor, that's a lot easier. And so we'll definitely take a look at that in the future, try and bring as much as we can to both sides of the aisle. Um, Will Irwin, is there a plan for bringing the Minion War to an epic conclusion anytime soon? No technical comment on that. And similar to that, what, for that matter, of the Minion War for Suede? Well, that is another interesting question. So, um, I don't know if you've heard some of the previous interviews I've done before, and Kevin and I've talked about this. We see Savage Rifts and Palladium Rifts as essentially parallel timelines that diverge in 109 PA potentially. So stay tuned. There are definitely things that I've discussed with with some other people, including Kevin and Shane, about that we'd like to do with that. But again, I don't want to announce anything until it actually happens. And as of right now, the focus is on the Savage Rift side of completing this the overview of Rift's Earth to make sure we get all the major stuff you need. And as you see with like the Terror on the Dark Frontier box campaign set, it actually is a big expansion in, say, in the New West vein, and the Spirit West. So there are things that we're doing with that to try and make sure we fill out the setting and give you all the toys you need to play the game, and do all the great stuff. Let's see. But yeah, that's all. I think that answers all the major questions here. We've gone over a little bit, about 15-20 minutes, but that's totally cool. I appreciate everybody for joining me. And I hope that this has helped you understand some of the future of what we've got coming for Rifts for Savage Worlds, and as well as for Palladium Rifts and Palladium books. I'm really excited about it. I appreciate everybody joining me because I know a lot of y'all, right? And even if I just see your names popping up in the chats over the years, um, it's really great to have y'all behind me. I know that your energy and your excitement keeps me excited, and that's really fun. Daglin says, "Have you ever considered cloning yourself so you can write more?" You know, Kevin and I have looked into it, but this is the best we've been able to do. Is bring me in, and then. But the nice thing is, we are working in parallel. I have definitely brought in. If check out the interview that we just did the other day on the Pinnacle channel, because there is a really great team of writers that I have brought in, and Shane has helped me organize for Rifts for Savage Worlds, and you're going to see their names also in Palladium titles as well. For instance, Johnny Racha wrote a one sheet for Savage Rifts, the Chromium. The Chrome Bounty adventure for the for the Glitter Boy, but he also wrote a short article. I think it's a really great one in Rifter 85 about the Glitter Boy Brotherhood. And that really works well with what Will brought in. So I can't clone myself, but I have been keeping my eye out for kindred spirits, I guess you'd say, and doing my best to help them bring them up, right, and bring other writers up so that we can. And you guys keep submitting great stuff to the Rifter. That's a great way to get material in, to show us what you can do. And we'll keep moving forward, because with everybody contributing, there's just more and more riffs than I think has been around for decades, right? It's a great time to be a Riffs fan right now. So we're definitely trying to make sure that Kevin and I aren't the only, aren't the bottleneck, but at a certain level, it's kind of unavoidable if you want to make sure that you get the best possible stuff out there for the fans, while we're making moves here in the industry, which is during a volatile economic and global times. Um, and that's no disparagement to Kevin. I mean, Shane has the same issue, right? As one of the things when Shane brought me in to work on Riffs for Savage Worlds, he was really excited that he could just hand me Savage Riffs and didn't have to really worry about me. I could write the book, design the rules, do the layout, right? Do the play testing and feedback with the fans, do the rules Q&A, right? So that's just the nature of the beast. Is finding people that are talented enough and not concerned enough about money to try and make this a full-time thing. So but yeah, I love you guys. Thanks again. I appreciate it, and we'll chat again soon. But a lot of really cool stuff coming out, and definitely keep your eye out for the next big thing. Will be the Titan Robotics crowdfunding, and then probably the next thing after that. I mean, for the next thing on the Pinnacle side is definitely going to be Atlantis and the Demon Seas is here, right? The whole on the pawn set one. If you haven't picked it up, doesn't matter if you use blading rules, right? The pawn set, Rifts pawn set one is awesome. The battle maps are awesome. Check that out. The Rifts, Atlantis, and the Demon Seas. I've had a lot of fans say, "Hey, we love the adventure material," and they really like the way that the all the naval going factions, all the seafaring factions are presented in a very coherent and cohesive manner. That does have some cool lore updates with the Ironheart armaments. Their new version is the Avenger armaments, and that's canon, right? They're located now in Hughestown, and you can read all about them in Atlantis and the Demon Seas. I wrote that book cover to cover, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Appreciate your support. And then Titan Robotics next, and then after that, we'll be looking at Rifts Antarctica, as well as Land of a Thousand Islands, and Terra on the Dark Frontier Pawn Set 2. So yeah, keep supporting us. We really appreciate it, and we'll keep bringing you new cool stuff. Cheers.